Welcome back to Central Valley Talk. This show is authors and artists, hosted by Carol Love Forbes, but I'm the backup for all the shows because I'm always here. And Carol is not here today, so I'm sitting in for her. We feature, if you're watching and you're an author especially, we love to talk to authors. There's so many great books written right from our area here in the Central Valley, and now we're talking to authors all over the world. And better than that, readers from all over the world are watching our shows and buying the books. So we appreciate that very much. So if you're an author or an artist and you'd like to come on the show, just go to our web channel, CentralValleyTalk.com, and there's a link you could click that says Be a Guest. There's a website right there. Click on Be a Guest, fill out a little form, and next thing you know, you're on our show. We don't charge to come on the show, and we need guests every week. We have a show, so we would love the business. Now, our next author, fascinating guy, Dr. Dave Bennett, graduated from Baylor University, got a PhD over there in
clinical psychology.
Yeah, clinical psychology, and you've written a book, The Healing Touch, and that's kind of a Christian-based approach to
It is.
healing yourself.
Yes. A lot of it could be that, unless people have problems that are really difficult and they might want to get some counseling or something to help them along. But in large measure, it's a self-help book.
And who needs this book? It sounds like anybody could use this book.
Yes. Yeah, even if you're doing well, you can always improve.
Yeah.
And it has principles in there that enable us to do that, such as a chapter on communication, conflict resolution. Most people need some help in terms of how to communicate more effectively.
Now, sometimes when I read books like this, it says things, some of the principles, and as I read about them, I go, oh yeah, now I see. And I kind of knew some of the stuff, but just having it in print just says, yep, you're on the right track. That helps me a lot. So, now, where would they look to find this book, by the way?
Amazon carries it. The publisher carries it. ARP carries it. They're the publisher, but most people go through Amazon because they get a good deal.
Yeah, and we already have the account. You just click, and next thing you know, you've got the book delivered like the next day sometimes.
Right.
When did you write the book?
Oh, it was about 1977, 8, 9, somewhere in there.
And do you sit down and write it in a day, or what was the process? That's what I'm always fascinated by.
Well, you can tell that I'm not a youngster by looking at me, so it was being formulated for many, many years, and I had some of the basic ideas that people needed to know about in terms of how do we become who we are? How do we learn to think and feel about ourselves? We call it self-esteem. So that was in my mind for a long time. I think I finally got the courage when a client told me one time, stop talking about it and write it.
Write about it, huh?
So,
Nice.
but the ideas were there. And then, of course, the Christian principles in terms of how to address the issues I had known for many, many years.
Now, by the way, I want to say congratulations, because a lot of people write books, including me. Few people finish writing them, including me. And that's always the tricky part. Are you ever really done writing the book? You know, is there another book coming out after this one?
Well, there have been so many questions asked about the concept of forgiveness, which is one chapter that, as I've told my wife, I need to expand that. So that will be the next book. It'll be dealing with forgiveness. And the title would be something like Forgiveness, but it doesn't solve all the problems.
Right.
It doesn't make everything change. Because a lot of people say, well, if I forgive somebody for offending me or hurting me, then that means that everything should be okay between, that person and me. And of course, that's not the case at all.
Yeah.
So I want people not to be in any way misinformed about what forgiveness does and doesn't do.
Pretty powerful thing, forgiveness. Yeah, I've learned that myself a few times. And when I wrong someone and, just go say, forgive me. I wronged you. Sorry, please forgive me. And they instantly seem to stop being so mad at you.
Oh, it's powerful.
Yeah.
And it's one of the major principles of Scripture, that's, for me, is what the cross is all about, and it was the cross in large measure that spurred me on to go ahead and put this in writing, because people need to know that, one, if they are forgiven, they will feel better about themselves. They don't forget what it was they did, but the negative feelings associated with the offense are removed. That's what forgiveness means, to let it go or release it. And so I just thought people, even within the church world, do not understand, in my opinion, the full power of what forgiveness does. And if I forgive somebody, it doesn't mean that I forget what they did to me.
Right.
But what it does do, it takes away the negative feelings from the feeling, from the experience. And so what that does is relieve me.
Yep.
And I think most people would have higher self-esteem if they would do a little thinking about how they were reared. Because most of our self-esteem, or low self-esteem, derives from our parenting.
Yep.
And so most parents don't know how to parent. They don't know how to discipline. They don't know how to relate to each other as well as to their kids. And as a result of that, we grow up with rather poor feelings about ourselves. And the reason that that's so powerful is how I think and feel about me affects every area of my life. It becomes my interpreter. Whatever you say to me kind of goes through the interpreter of how I think and feel about me. And if I'm thinking negatively about myself, I will tend to put a negative edge on what you say to me.
Right, right. Now, sounds like maybe somebody reading this book might be able to let some stuff go that they didn't even know they had bottled up from their childhood and how they were raised.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what it will do. It will teach them that, as you said earlier, it can be a true self-help in the sense that if you know what you need to let go, you can do that.
Yeah. Or maybe that people don't even know they needed to let something go. So.
That's right. The awareness is really the first part of the solution.
Now, are you still in doing your work, your practice?
My practice has slowed down a great deal, and I do very little, but if people want to come in, I'm willing to see them. Mostly at this point, I'll tell them that at this stage, I'm willing to do maybe a consultation.
Yeah. Maybe it's slowed down because you cured everybody. Or maybe they all read your book and got over it themselves. I tell you, it's way cheaper to buy the book than to go see Dr. Bennett. So
It is.
Now go to Amazon. By the way, I'm going to put this on our page, our webpage, so they can just click and it takes them right to Amazon and they can order it. Or if you already have an account, go to type The Healing Touch, or type Healing Touch, or type Dave Bennett. Any of those will probably get you to the book, I'd imagine.
But they need to see a picture of the
Yeah,
book?
we have it up on the screen right now.
Oh, you do? Okay, fine.
That's beautiful artwork, too.
Yes,
That was done in the 70s,
yes.
before some of us were born. Not really. I was out of high school by then, but it's 40 years or so, I would imagine.
Sorry?
You can help us. Anyway, last thoughts for our viewers, Dr. Bennett?
Well, first of all, I want people to realize how powerful parenting is. There is nothing more powerful or longer lasting than the influence of parenting, and that influence becomes our self-esteem. And so I want people to really think seriously about examining their relationships, how mom related, how dad related, how mom and dad related to each other, because these are not only the most powerful influences, they come at the most impressionable time in our lives.
Right.
And that's really, really important.
Yep, and affects you forever. And
Yes.
people now who have kids, they're going to affect their kids forever. So, all right, this is fascinating. They only give us 10 or 15 minutes here, so
Okay.
so we're kind of to the end of our time. I could talk to you for hours on this, so we're going to have you back again and again. Last thoughts for our viewers? Buy the book, I guess.
Well, the book will certainly take them through these different stages of how we develop who we are, how we develop our self-esteem, and then it has some solutions in terms of, first of all, we need to become aware of our parenting,
Yep.
because that's the most powerful form of self-esteem or low self-esteem. And then we need to learn what forgiveness is. I have a whole chapter on that,
Yeah.
because we really need, it's not something that you say, okay, I'll forgive you.
Yeah.
No, it's much deeper than that.
Right. Our guest is Dr. Dave Bennett, PhD. A great book, The Healing Touch. Get it at Amazon. If you can't find it, or you forget the name or something, just call me here at Central Valley Talk. I'll give you all the information. And the book will be on our website, too, a little later today. Thank you, Dr. Bennett, for
Thank you
coming.
very much.
Appreciate it very much. And we'll be back with more Central Valley Talk right after this.
CentralValleyTalk.com